Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamerspro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. About 2 or 3 days ago, we got the news that Paul Pierce was going to be a regular guest or whatever it is on Undisputed. And with this news, I was intrigued to see what it would be like with him there. Now, I'd seen a previous show with him. Well, I guess it was like a pilot or something. I saw that one. But I think yesterday, Monday, was when he made his official debut on the show. And they discussed a lot of things. They talked about various teams and the Bucks, Damian Lillard, and all of that. But of course, they were going to discuss the Lakers and then we're going to discuss the Golden State Warriors. So yesterday, I tuned in to see one of the clips, and I'd seen this after we actually finished working on our content yesterday. So I tuned in, and they were talking about essentially what were the key factors in the Lakers' loss. So I click on the clip to see what the segment was all about. As I'm listening to the segment, Paul Pierce started to speak like the prototypical NBA fan who was watching what they're seeing objectively and basically calling it like it is, right down the line. What you see a lot of on television is a lot of people triangulating. You see a lot of people twerking it up all over the place. There's certain people that avoid saying certain things, but Paul Pierce came on there and he was essentially calling it out and saying what a lot of us think. But really, there's no one on television to say it. So when it came time for him to talk about the Lakers and the Warriors, boy, he didn't hold back. And he really went in a very candid and let me say candid and organic way that you seldom hear people talking sports, especially on television, do. So what we want to do is I want to play what Paul Pierce had to say on the show yesterday with Skip Bayless and Keyshawn Johnson, and then we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to what Paul Pierce had to say yesterday.
I mean, stuff happens, Skip. I mean, the shot clock, whatever, the replay, I don't like replay anyway. I think they need to do away with it. I think it takes too much time out of the game. Yeah, you want to get it right. You got 3 referees. Somebody has to get the call right. You know, and I think I've been a victim of replay in my day to where I thought I got a shot off. You can't even tell because the high resolution wasn't even that high.
You talking about on LeBron's? On LeBron's shot?
Yeah. So I think you just take the replay out because it slows up the game. It messes with the fan. Like, I had to stop watching. I went to the bathroom, got a cup of coffee, and I just lost what I want to feel
but can you remember 4 stoppages off shot clocks malfunctioning?
Never. It just seemed like something.
I've never seen that.
Well, that's whatever technically was wrong, I mean, you really can't control that.
You have a backup and it malfunctioned.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
Wiring or something was wrong.
I don't know. But Keyshawn, it's the Lakers. Come on,
Man, I guess
first they mess up the language on the Kobe statue, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Now y'all I'm just a punching bag for the Lakers right now. Because Paul here and you here, so now we go.
I don't even know why we talking about the 10th seed Lakers anyway. Like, why are we even talking about them?
Touche.
Like, why are we talking about the 9th seed Golden State Warriors when there's other teams out there that needs some light put on them?
Well, you played in the NBA for like 20 years.
Like, I'm tired of the Lakers. Yeah, Lakers gonna lose. LeBron's gonna get 40. He's great at getting his stats. But the truth of the matter, Key, when I've been watching the Lakers this year, yes, LeBron's been great numbers-wise, but LeBron got to take a step back.
And
he got to take a step back.
And do what?
He got to get the ball up a little more.
Yeah, I buy that.
No, listen. He's averaging, since All-Star break, look at his numbers. 29, 9, and 7, 57 from the field, 45 from 3. It's not resulting in wins. When LeBron sat out, who'd they beat? Milwaukee, a contender. D'Lo had 40. They went to Boston and got a win without LeBron.
But don't do this, though, Paul.
Well, it's the truth. It is the truth.
I think he's older. He needs to take a step back. The less he does, the more it's going to be for the team. And that's not a bad thing.
Are you saying take a step back in terms of
he's too ball dominant?
Yeah, but
he's too ball dominant. He need to let the reins go. He need to let D'Lo go. He need to let AD go. Reeves. It showed when they played. Their two most impressive wins in the last 2 weeks have been Milwaukee and the Lakers. And LeBron didn't play in either one of them.
Boston.
I mean, in Boston.
Yeah, right.
LeBron didn't play in either one of those.
That Boston was last year.
At Boston.
Last year, man.
You don't go in
So long
Boston and
ago.
just win.
Yeah, but Boston.
Reeves looked like the next Larry Bird without LeBron. I mean,
And by the way, Keith, to his point, in the fourth quarter the other night, LeBron got up 8 shots and he made 5. But the point
it's
was
not resulting in the win.
Austin Reeves took 1 shot in the fourth quarter the other night and made it, and that was it.
But
it.
whose fault is that?
Because LeBron is
the
ball
player?
dominant.
Is that the players on the court fault, Paul? That they just say,
think
"Here you go."
He got a stranglehold on the offense. I think you could really release this offense if he did a little more swinging the ball, passing, maybe set some screens. We don't need LeBron to get 30 like in the past. I think the less he does, the more for the team, and I think he's got to unlock these players. We're going to make an excuse for the Lakers, like, oh, they need more. No, they don't. You got good role players. You got D'Lo. Reeves, like I said, you got Anthony Davis, who's a top 10 player.
But the role player shoots. Just last night they shot 26%.
They don't got no rhythm. If I'm a role player and I'm sitting there all game and I don't get the ball till 2 minutes left, I'm really just getting cardio.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard for them to get a rhythm.
I'm not going to lie to you. When Paul Pierce was talking, I'm not going to lie to you, I was laughing. I was really, really, really laughing my ass off. Here's the reason why I was laughing my ass off. The reason is because Paul was saying things that a lot of us think, but no one in the media, for whatever reason, refuses to point out these things. He spoke about the fact that while we always talking about the Lakers and the Warriors, a lot of people wonder the same thing. Not just, NBA fans that maybe be jealous of the team, but just fans in general all over the United States and the world. They're like, bro, what about my team? What about the Nuggets? What about this team? What about that team? Now, obviously, we know that the media is going to cover these teams because they're big market teams. They have a lot of people in these markets, so obviously they're playing about the numbers. And these teams have huge fan bases, so they're basically talking about teams that they feel will generate a lot of income for them, and talk about players that they feel will do the same, and Steph Curry and LeBron James, who have historically proven that to be true. So there's that aspect. But there's the other aspect where some people are like, yo, but these teams are not any good. If you take away the play-in tournament, these teams aren't even playoff teams. So why are we talking about the team? Now, is Paul Pierce the first person to say this? No. I've actually heard Charles Barkley on NBA on TNT say that. I've heard Kendrick Perkins complain about this. I've heard Michael Wilbon complain about this, right? They complain about it, but they know they're still going to talk about them because they got to pay their bills. They got to make their money because they know a lot of people are interested in them. That's the first part that surprised me, how he was saying it. The second part, and you could hear Keyshawn just saying, Paul, don't do this, which was this. He said, LeBron got to get off the ball more, man. He got to give up taking up all of these shots. Like, I understand that he wants to get his stats, but his stats are not leading to anything. And there's some real truth to that when he brought up the examples. But you could also look at what transpired last night. Last night, the Lakers played against the Atlanta Hawks. They were able to get a victory 136 to 105. And if you look at that game, they shared the wealth. D'Angelo Russell had 27 points. Austin Reeves had 12 points. Anthony Davis had 22 points. LeBron James had 25 points. Rui Hachimura had 17 points. And if you look at the field goal attempts, LeBron and AD both only attempted 14 shots, but D'Angelo Russell got 14 shots. Now, obviously, he made 6 out of He made 6 out of his 10 3-point attempts, but nevertheless, they were spreading the wealth, right? And they had a much more balanced attack where you couldn't just key in on 2 star players in LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So they spread the wealth, and it worked. Last year when they made that push to the playoffs, after they made those trades, LeBron wasn't there for a considerable amount of those games, and it was really Anthony Davis that was leading the way. If you look at LeBron's field goal shooting attempts this year, he's averaging 18 shots per game. Last year, he was averaging 22.2 shots per game. And I think Paul Pierce is saying this is not resulting in wins. It looks good on the stat sheet, but it's not resulting in wins. He also brought up another point, which was when he was talking to Keyshawn, he's like, let's be real. Like, this year was just going to be about LeBron hitting 40,000 points and basically setting the standard for players at an advanced age. And these are things that you don't hear anybody else saying on television. You won't. You will never hear somebody on ESPN talking like this. You just won't. And I think the reason why Paul Pierce is needed on that show is because it provides a balance. If you're going to say, well, he's a hater, fantastic, fine, let him be a hater. But the fact of the matter is there are too many supporters out there. And all these guys do is just push narrative after narrative after narrative after narrative. Is it okay for you to push a narrative? Sure, if you want to, no problem. But if you're going to be able to push a narrative, somebody should be able to push their own and provide a counterbalance. What some of these guys don't want is a counterbalance. They just want it to be one particular way. And that cannot be the case. You know, some people ask us, oh, why don't you ever say anything positive? You got all of these dudes twerking it up on TV, man, and all over on the internet with these creators. What you want me for, too? Like, yo, y'all trying to collect us like goddamn infinity stones, man. Like, let me live, son. Let me live. Like, yo, get off of me. You already got these dudes. You already got you running around with these dudes. Let me live, son. I don't want no honey. I'm good. I'm chilling. Like, let me do my thing. So I thought it was interesting to have Paul Pierce say that, but I don't think Paul Pierce was breaking any ground. Paul Pierce is saying what a lot of people have already said. The only difference is he was saying it on television, where you seldom hear somebody go up there and give that perspective. It never happens. It never. And that should speak volumes to what the sports media landscape is, because I personally believe that the messaging is very, very controlled. And there's certain views that they want out there, and there's certain views that they don't want out there. There's certain things that people want to touch on, and there's certain things that people do not touch on. Don't get it twisted. People have decided we're going to talk about this, and people have decided we're not going to talk about this. Look at the Balco situation. Look at what Kevin Garnett had to say. Look at what Chael Sonnen had to say about it. Nobody touched it. Nobody touched it because they all agreed we're not going to talk about this. So there's certainly a consensus out there. So whenever you see someone come out and pierce the veil and actually break through and say something different, a lot of us like, whoo, what a breath of fresh air. I was reading some of the comments under that video, and some people are like, wow, finally somebody's not bought and paid for. That's what a lot of fans think about you guys on television. They think you guys are bought and paid for because a lot of you guys say basically the same thing. Nobody has a different view. Everybody thinks the same. Everybody feels the same on the same issues, on these different issues. So I thought it was good. Now, of course, people are going to call me a hater. I don't really care. If you calling me a hater, it means you're watching. So that's on you. There have been people out there that have been complaining about sports media in terms of the coverage of certain teams and them not covering other teams. And to a certain extent, there is some truth to this. You know that in media, they're going to talk about Steph Curry. They're going to talk about the Warriors. They're going to talk about the Lakers. They're going to talk about LeBron. They may sprinkle in a few other players like Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo here and there, Damian Lillard. They may throw the Clippers in there once in a while and maybe talk about the Boston Celtics occasionally. Now, sometimes they talk about Anthony Edwards. Occasionally, they will talk about Victor Wembanyama. So what happened yesterday, they were reacting to the big shot that Kyrie Irving made, which was a Kyrie Irving shot, to be totally honest with you. Absolutely incredible shot. So they were talking about that on Get Up. And then, of course, some way, somehow, they had to find a way to force feed the Lakers and Warriors down the throats of NBA fans. So they were speaking to Jay Williams. So at first, Jay Williams answered the first few questions. And then they got to the next part where they brought up the Lakers. And it was essentially like, well, do you think the Lakers and the Warriors are going to be any good? He was like, nah, I don't really think so. So he answered the question. Then he thought it was done. And then it was still, as he was talking, the person that was speaking to him brings it up again. And you could visibly see Jay Williams start to get a little bit irritated. Like, number one, I just answered your question. Number two, I've given you my answer and you're trying to get a different answer out of me so we can continue talking. He's like, I've given you my answer. What else do you want from me, bro? So for those of you who didn't catch that segment, I want to quickly play it for you now and then come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to what Jay Williams had to say here.
Who do you have more confidence in, I think, to flip the switch when we talk about the postseason run? Is it Steph or is it LeBron?
I would probably just say because of their size and the way they can defend, depending upon AD, I would say the Lakers. But I don't have supreme confidence in either team. Once again, I have confidence in the brand name players. You have confidence in Steph to be prolific. You have confidence in LeBron James, so at this age to play at a high level. But the makeup of the teams are the things that concern you the most. We're always going to talk about the Lakers.
Yeah.
We're always going to talk about the Warriors. But I was at the beginning of the year saying I think the Warriors are a play-in tournament team, and I got destroyed for it, and look where they are. The Lakers, too, with the way they play, like the makeup of their team ultimately, but LeBron James at this stage of his career is not the best case for him to be in for them to have a chance to win it.
So when you talk about these marquee names, KD, Steph, LeBron, who's furthest away from getting another ring out of those guys?
It's always, they're all furthest away.
Yeah.
They're all furthest away. I mean, I think you're still waiting to see with Bradley Beal, KD, and Devin Booker. They have to be prolific offensively to make up the room for where they are defensively to have a chance. But I still think you have all these teams that are on the outside looking in. I'm not going to say one team is further away because they're all far away.
Do you think from a league standpoint, because we all hang on to these guys, are we not talking more about those young guys, Oklahoma City and all those other teams who are playing really well, but they don't get that national exposure like these guys get?
Well, I mean, within basketball circles, we give them the national exposure.
Yeah.
And we talk about it. I think it's hard because people don't know as much about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. People pay attention. They've heard the narrative around the Clippers for so long. They don't understand how many games Kawhi Leonard has played this year, or what James Harden has been able to do, or Russ's role that he's actually leaned into. So I think there are new emerging conversations, even around the Pelicans, that are exciting for internal basketball fans. I think external basketball fans just hear the legacy names and they wonder what's going on with these individuals.
So you heard what Jay Williams had to say. What are my thoughts on this? This is something that a good amount of NBA fans complain about, which is, why don't they talk about other teams? You've also heard certain players and former players talk about the fact that the NBA is not a good, and journalists as well, talk about how the NBA is not doing a good job of marketing some of his younger talent. Players like Anthony Edwards, of course, John Moran, and these guys messed it up. He messed it up for himself. You have Zion Williamson, who I just read, dropped 25 pounds since January. That's an excellent accomplishment. Kudos to him. You got players like Zion. Of course, you have Victor Wembanyama. You have teams like the Denver Nuggets. You have teams like the Boston Celtics and others. And people like, there are other things we can discuss, right? Why are we spending so much time talking about? So this is something that NBA fans have definitely complained about. Will it stop? No. The reason I don't believe it will stop is because, as I said on the other show today, these guys talk about these things because it generates ratings. Now, ultimately, what's going to happen is the NBA is going to eventually need to find a way to move on, right? Because Stephen Curry will eventually retire. The Kevin Durant's of the world, they will retire. LeBron James of the world, he will retire, and you got to find someone else to market the game. Now, if I'm looking at the landscape in terms of players that can market the game, Anthony Edwards is definitely one of them. I think if John Morant's mind was right and he wasn't, doing those stuff to get himself these self-inflicting injuries, he could be someone that could definitely propel the game forward. Of course, you have Victor Wembanyama, who's definitely going to be the future of the NBA, no doubt about it. These are the guys that can push the game forward. Obviously, there are probably some players that I'm not thinking of at the moment, but these are the guys we should spend more time discussing. Now, will the NBA do that? It remains to be seen. But do I think they're going to stop talking about it? No, because the whole conversation has turned into whether or not the Warriors and the Warriors and the Phoenix Suns and the Lakers are going to make the playoffs. Frankly, I don't care. If you had to ask me, out of those three teams, which one would I want to see in the playoffs? I'd probably say the Phoenix Suns. Why the Phoenix Suns? Because I think they are a lot of fun to watch with their offensive players, with KD, Devin Booker, especially the show that Devin Booker put on last year in the playoffs with Bradley Beal. I think they'll be the more entertaining team. Obviously, the Lakers will be entertaining, the Warriors will be entertaining. It would be nice to see them. As things currently stand, one of those teams is definitely going to miss. No, is it one? Let me see. I could be wrong. I think it's two or one. For sure, one or two. Yeah, if I look at the Western Conference standings right now, yeah, the Suns are in the 8th spot. The Lakers are in the 9th spot. The Warriors are in the 10th spot. I forgot how it works, but essentially, I forgot how it works, but I know like the upper teams play. I think 7 and 8 play for the 8th seed, right? And the 7th seed, and whoever wins that game, let's say the Suns beat the Mavericks, then the Suns are the 7. And then the Warriors and the Lakers are going to play each other, and whoever gets eliminated plays the 7th seed to decide who gets the 8th seed. So the bottom 2 teams have to win 2 games, and the top 2 teams need to win 1 game to secure the 7th seed. So just looking at the way it kind of maps out right now, the bottom 3 teams are the Suns, Lakers, and the Warriors. So for sure, if things don't move as it currently stands, one of those teams is going to be out. So it's either going to be the Lakers, for sure one of them are going to be gone. So it's either going to be the Lakers, the Warriors, or the Suns. Who has a higher percentage of being out is going to be the Lakers and the Warriors. Why do I say that? Well, I think about 14 games left on the calendar. The Suns are 3 games ahead in the loss column. So they have 29 losses, whereas the Lakers and the Warriors have 32. So really, it's going to be between those 2 teams. So one of them is definitely going to be knocked out. And when they get knocked out, we got to figure out a new formula. The NBA has to figure out a new formula moving forward. So these are my thoughts on this. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to do this. Those that know will know. Really, bro? That's what you posting with your ugly ass? You had the nerve to do that and then squint your eyes to be like you on some Denzel type of time? Son, put them graphics back up with your ugly behind, man. Stop playing with us. As you guys know, JJ Redick and LeBron James debuted their podcast today called Mind the Game Pod with LeBron James. Now, as you guys know, JJ Redick is already a big voice in sports media on ESPN and the independent sector. So when we heard that him and LeBron James were going to be pairing up, a lot of us were surprised. As a matter of fact, we even did a show discussing this new venture, this new merger. So throughout the day, I was kind of seeing different posts on the internet about some of the quotes from the first episode. So maybe about 10 minutes ago, I decided, okay, let me start watching this episode. It's about a 43-minute show to see what it's all about. So I click on it, and I get to a segment where they start discussing the most influential basketball players ever. And LeBron starts off talking about what Stephen Curry did, and then he goes off and starts saying, since he's been watching basketball, since he's been covering the game, to use his words, Stephen Curry and Allen Iverson are the most influential basketball players he has ever seen. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, you didn't watch Michael Jordan? For those of you who don't believe LeBron just said that, we want to play for you now, and I'm going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to this madness that LeBron just spewed out of his mouth. Take a listen to that.
Because I believe in 08, 09, or whenever that little light skin came in the league, that's in Golden State, he changed that whole narrative. He did. He single-handedly changed the no lead is safe. It's like Pat Mahomes right now.
It's interesting you bring up Steph because I think there's
Love that guy,
a long history of
Steph.
Great players that have impacted the game. And you can see a lineage between different skill sets, right? Michael to Kobe, right? You can see that. I don't know that there's been a player that has influenced the game more than Steph. And you can certainly point to like Harden for sure in that era, Damian Lillard for sure, but you're right, it started with Steph.
When it comes to influence, since I've been watching the game, the most influence on the game, and obviously we know what Mike did for the game.
Sure.
You know, well, Steph and Allen Iverson are the 2 biggest influential guys in our game since I've been watching and covering it. You know, one, they're 6'3", 6'4", if you want to.
Steph's not 6'4".
If you want to look on the back of a basketball card, you know, you're always a lot taller on the back of the basketball card. You know, Allen Iverson and Steph, they were just so relatable, and kids felt like they could be them. They were guys that was not always counted on. They were small in stature, and they just defined the odds. So you got AI, who's like unbelievable crossover, cornrows, arm sleeve. We wear arm sleeve. Everyone wears an arm sleeve now because of Allen Iverson. And he's going in the trenches, you know, laying it up over bigs, whatever the case may be. And now you have Steph, who's shooting over the Empire State Building. You know, it's like those two are the two most influential when you say the game, how they changed the game and the kids and like those are two guys that you just wanted to watch every single night.
What LeBron just said let me know that LeBron is a serious hater. LeBron is a serious hater of Michael Jordan. This is what I'm beginning to understand. See, the fact of the matter is Clutch Sports controls the media landscape. They have a lot of guys in media that argue on the behalf of LeBron James. Many people have said this. Doug Gottlieb, Jason Whitlock, and many of us have speculated on this. That's the first thing. And all of these guys are always pushing LeBron. And the new thing the new wave was now they're hating on the 90s. That's the first thing. LeBron has made it his business to try to position himself as the greatest player of all time, unsuccessfully, because he's only been able to convince very few people. But nevertheless, he hasn't stopped. So yesterday when I found out that the podcast was coming out, I started to ask myself, wait a minute, what is this podcast actually going to be about? Is it going to be about LeBron talking basketball? Or is it going to be about him trying to push and promote his own agenda? So I listened to that clip, and as LeBron was talking, I was totally confounded, and I'll tell you why. What do we hear all the time about LeBron James? What's the thing that we always hear? We hear that he's a basketball historian. What is the definition of a historian? A historian is somebody that basically collects information about things that has happened in the past about a particular thing, particular industry, and then studies them and knows them. So if LeBron is a student of the game, a basketball historian, and since you've been watching the game, which begins to make me wonder, did LeBron start watching basketball in 1996 when AI and these guys came into the league? I refuse to believe that. The reason I refuse to believe that is because the person that you said, yeah, MJ did his thing, and you talking about AI and all of these guys, why didn't you decide to wear their jersey when you came into the NBA? Why did you wear Michael Jordan's number on the back of your jersey coming into the NBA? Help me figure it out. Why didn't you wear AI's number 3? Or go wear Stephen Curry's number? Why did you wear Michael Jordan's number? Why didn't you steal AI's powder toss? He never did it, but Jordan did. Why did you steal that? Why is your whole media machine basically cocked towards trying to find ways to put you next to ahead of Michael Jordan? I'm confused. Now, he talked about the influence that AI had. I'm one of the people that's been saying that Allen Iverson is easily one of the most influential NBA players. And we actually did a show a number of years ago where I said AI was the most influential player since Jordan, but then that was before Stephen Curry really took off and started doing his thing. AI was absolutely influential. AI was influential in terms of the basketball culture, the way NBA players carried themselves, the way they dressed, the fact that they started wearing tattoos and started having cornrows. And AI was a fusion of basketball and hip hop, which made him a cultural phenomenon. Stephen Curry, I understand the point about how he revolutionized the game in terms of the way the game is being played with a lot of guys wanting to shoot threes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And AI also influenced a lot of guys with his crossover and all of that. But to say that Allen Iverson, who I love, and Stephen Curry are more influential than Michael Jordan, you got to get off the crack pipe. You got to put the crack pipe down. I don't know what they had in those bottles of wine. So let's discuss the influence that Jordan had over not just the NBA, but sports. Jordan actually revolutionized the shoe market. When LeBron came into the NBA, who did he pattern his business acumen after? Was Michael Jordan. Jordan was the one that really took shoes to a whole different level. Jordan was the one that really brought branding into the business of basketball. He's the one that really ushered in the serious money in basketball. That's why his last 2 years, he earned about $30 million for the ball. If Jordan didn't set that precedent, none of these guys would be earning that money. Some of you guys would say, well, Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson signed a $25 million contract for a lifetime contract with the Lakers. Jordan was the one that got $60 million, I believe, over 2 years. So Jordan is the one that brought the money. Now, you're talking about influence. Help me understand. Am I imagining it, or were they not doing commercials talking about, I want to be like Mike, where you had kids all over the world basically trying to dunk and lay up with their tongue hanging out? Or you had people all over the world all of a sudden rocking the ball. Now, all of a sudden, the ball became, who do you think caused all of that? Who to this day has people wearing their sneakers up and down Jordans outsell all of these athletes today, including LeBron James. So how are we not going to mention His impact, to me, LeBron came off as a straight up hater. As a straight up and down. Because you said two things that didn't make sense. The first thing he said was, since I've been watching the game. LeBron started watching basketball in 1996. Is that what y'all LeBron older than me. LeBron older than me. He 3 years older than me. So you telling me LeBron started watching basketball in 1999? Like, what are we on right now? To suggest that there's a player more influential than Jordan is a joke. Is a big joke. A very big joke. Even the Allen Iverson he referred to was influenced by Jordan. The AI he was referring to was influenced by Michael Jordan. But now I understand what these guys are. It is crystal clear. This entire show is going to be about propaganda. It's all going to be about elevating him, his era, and discounting other people along the way. He's the most influential basketball player I have ever seen. What? Michael Jordan influenced athletes in different sports. Do y'all know that? Do you also know that Tom Brady, to go to football, was saying that the person he was trying to catch was Michael? Why would an NFL quarterback be trying to catch Michael Jordan? Like, make it make sense. And you telling me this? LeBron a flat out hater. That's all he is. A flat out hater. He's like, yeah, I know what Jordan did, but if we looking at Stephen, I'm out.